Get that camera to rotate. What's up, fellas? How y'all doing? I'm growing my mustache. It looks terrible. I know. All right, hang tight. See what we got here. Now I'm gonna see if I can pull you guys up on the iPad so I can respond to comments, hopefully. Comment, let's see. Go back to YouTube live. See if it'll show up here. Live. Maybe not. All right, what's up, fellas? Thank you guys for joining me today. I'm probably gonna try the iPad for comments later. What I wanted to do with you guys is first close the door here because it's pretty cold outside. One second. All right, so what we have today is the Operation Recall Year 1 Wave 2 Engineering Prototypes. So that's gonna be very exciting. First things first, I'm gonna push this little tabletop out of the way. Excuse the noise. Get those cups out of here. All right. So a lot of you hopefully have been getting packages from me, and those have new toys in them. I got one returned to me. So I'm actually very excited about this because I gave away every single Dark Reapers that I had. Not gave it away, you know, you guys pre-ordered this and paid for it, so, you know, completely entitled to it. But I did not even keep one for myself. That's just how much I wanted to make sure you guys were taken care of. So let's get into this box that was shipped out and have a look at what you guys have been getting in the mail. And for those of you that are not aware, these are the figures that go out to the all-in backers. So if you were an all-in backer and you know you backed the Kickstarter, you backed the backer kit, then I tried to get a package out to every single one of you. I got air delivery of 918 sets, and unfortunately that wasn't enough to satisfy all of the all-in orders in their entirety, but I tried to at least get a package out to you, and then I put a little note in, and on this note, if you're one of those backers that has kind of items that I still owe you, I wrote it in right here, like PS, I owe you, whatever, and it'll be there in January. The reason it'll be there in January is because the freight delivery, which is coming over the seas, will be here in January. So this is the Mizumu core, and this is what I'm referring to as version 2, and I'm also calling it pecan. So I looked up different chocolate colors, and this is most closely associated to the pecan color. Now, if you look at his upper biceps, there's actually unique sculpt work for each of the sets of arms on these Mizumu core. So on his arms, on the biceps, the very easy tell is that there's a curve like that on the biceps there, and then there's a curve that goes outward on the bicep there. So if you see the curved line on the bicep like that, that's a really easy tell, and this is the pecan colored Mizumu core. So let's see if you got the other one. I think this is just a 4-pack. So you would have only gotten both versions of the Mizumu core if you actually bought a second Mizumu core. So if you did buy a second Mizumu core, you are guaranteed to get both of those. It's not like one is more rare than the other, and I'm not trying to make this a hard thing to get. So if you bought 2 Mizumu core, you will get both. So this is again version 2. If you have one that's a warmer color, which I call caramel, and then it's got just like a straight across scarification pattern on the upper arms, then that's version 1, and you'll be able to order version 1 or version 2 very easily from the website, and I will ship those right away. I've actually got those in stock right now. So if any of you are getting your packages and you're like, well, why did I get the one and not the other one? I did post about it in Kickstarter quite a few times, and I realized that everybody can't read all those updates, and I don't begrudge any of you guys that don't read the updates, but that's what happened. I've been talking about it for a bit on Kickstarter. And so basically if you added a second Mizumu core, then you got that variant. And if you didn't, it's cool, no problem. You can just go to the website right now, buy the one that you don't have, and I can ship it right away. So this is Mizumu core version 2. This is the big bad for year 1, General Mortifero. And I mean, I know a lot of people say, yeah, he's reminiscent of Destro. I wanted to put Destro right next to him. He is taller than Destro, more defined than Destro. The soft goods are of a way higher quality. We've got a seam in the bottom. We've got a little wire in the bottom there so you can mold it to go around his arm. When he's got that pistol in his hand, it's just long enough that the cape color covers that entirely. And it's because I wanted him to be like that scheming dude that's holding a pistol and you don't even know it. If you look at his backside, he's actually got a knife on his backside too. So he's the type of guy that'll go into a negotiation with you and then slit your throat. He's not to be trusted. So General Mortifero, and it's a Spanish name. I always, in my North Carolina accent, would call him General Mortifero, and it's not Mortifero, it's Mortifero. So anyway, General Mortifero is the very first big bad guy. He's the leader of Orthrus. He is going to decimate Atlas in year 1, and he's not to be trifled with. He's also the tallest figure we have, and there will be a couple that are tall like him that are about 4 inches tall, and Bearclaw will also be tall like that. So this is the first big bad guy. There will be more. Spoiler alert. Now these are the shock troopers. This is a very popular figure. This is Dark Reapers. And Dark Reapers, you know, you may have seen the photography on the website where there's a little bit of a different Dark Reapers out there. That's actually the Dark Reapers officer that's coming in year 2. And one of the things that Carter did when he was making this, we have a pegged in set of grenades right here, just like Ron Rudat designed them. And we decided to make that work on a peg, number one, because it would look better that way instead of having to have the draft where, you know, when something curves around and then it just has to go straight down and be like extruded out of the plastic, and that just doesn't look great. But that's the compromise of injection molded plastic. We decided to make that a separate piece so that the grenades could actually curve around. And so then we had to peg that into the arm. So when we did that, I was like, look, this is the shock trooper. So yes, he's going to have some grenades. That makes a lot of sense. But how about for the officer, since we have those grenades pegged in, how about we take those grenades off and we put a communications tablet in there? And so that's what we're doing for the officer for year 2. You'll see him down the road. You can see him in photography on the website now. But Dark Reaper's officer will have a unique piece, a communications tablet on his arm, as well as a unique deco. When you see the second release of General Mortifero, he's going to have a different head sculpt, and it's a very cool version 2 for him. And then when you see this mold again for the Mizumu Corps, he will have a different head sculpt, an entirely different deco, and a third set of arms with different scarification patterns yet again. So we are cutting new mold pieces for most, if not all, of our, you know, usages of sculpts down the road. And that's because we don't want it to feel like we just repainted something and resold it to you. The honest answer for, you know, toy production, and I heard Bobby say this in a video, if you're a toy maker and you're cutting a mold and you only have one use in mind for it, you're not a great toy maker. Like, you have to have things in mind for how you can use that again to get your money's worth out of it. Cutting tools is a very, very expensive endeavor. And so, for example, on Breacher and Hellhound, we will have a version 2 of him for year 2. It's going to be this awesome Desert Ops figure. I've already showed the figure actually a couple times. We already premiered the art at Joe Fest this past year. So we've been talking about the Desert Ops subset that's coming for year 2 for quite a while now. So Desert Ops, Breacher, and Hellhound will have an entirely different head sculpt. His baseball cap, which is backwards, is kind of a defining characteristic of this first release of him. But the second release will have a normal head with a full head of hair, no hat on, and then he'll have a Ronin ballistic helmet, which is a 3-color helmet. So we're not cutting any costs when it comes to sculpting, to cutting extra pieces to make secondary releases feel like not a cheap cash grab, but more thought out. With a little forethought and a little extra tool cutting money, we can make those second and third releases feel like unique and not just like, oh great, I've got the same figure again with a different color. So that's Breacher and Hellhound. So these are the first 4 that are out there now. And again, they've only shipped to the all-in backers. And we will be shipping a lot more in January. So the freight delivery that's coming over the sea is supposed to get in at the port on January 1st. And then it's supposed to be here on January 6th. And then we will be delivering So many packages. So thank you guys for your patience in early January as we work to get these out to you. Now, I should say they're telling me they'll be at the port January 1st and that they'll be at my house January 6th. That seems overly optimistic to me, and I don't really expect it to go down that way, but we'll see. I could be pleasantly surprised. So this is a little letter that we put in with the packages, and those of you that have got your packages, I hope you enjoyed that and had to read through it. It tells a little bit about what we want to do in the future. So before I dig into the Wave 2 toys, I want to show you guys Toy Collector Magazine. So this is really cool. I met the author of this magazine, and he's everything. He's the editor, he's the author, he's the designer. Like, it's not quite a one-man band show for him, but he does most of the work himself. He's an incredibly hardworking person, and I was incredibly flattered when he decided to feature Operation Recall. So thank you to Blake Wright, who is the author and editor and everything else that I already mentioned. So you have a nice little article here, Operation Recall, mission accomplished. And so, yeah, we raised, over $400,000 a couple years ago on Kickstarter, about 2.5 years ago. And we have been working our butts off ever since. This is the initial pitch that I sent to Hasbro back in 1989. And this is the Midnight Ops Rattello that's going to be coming with Wave 5 for year 1. During the Kickstarter, those of you that paid attention to the Kickstarter, you'll remember I just kept throwing in bonus figures. I was super excited and just wanted to reward you guys. So there was 3 bonus figures. There was the original release of Rattello, which you'll see today. There was the second release of Rattello, which is this Midnight Ops one, and that'll be released in year 1 as well. That's the only sub-team figure for all of year 1. And Rattello was our pilot study. Ron Rudat and I got together. Ron Rudat and Bill Merkline did the sculpture, Kirk Bazigian did the review, Larry Hama did the file card, and we went through the whole process. Sean Morrill and Ed Morrill helped me do all the design work, and we did just kind of one pilot figure to see if it would work, and it worked so well that we decided to go into business together and make a new toy line. So there's a very nice article here in Toy Collector Magazine. And hopefully David Speck got credit here somewhere. I put credit for him on the website. If you go to operationrecall.com, you can see all these photos. And please pick up the Toy Collector Magazine, though, and check out this article. Blake did a nice write-up. We did a pretty in-depth interview talking about everything. So there's quite a few photos and a nice write-up in there. So you guys check out Toy Collector. That's issue 21. This is not a silent issue. There's a lot of words in there. But check out Toy Collector. I know you can pick up or pre-order this specific issue. I just got it in the mail this week. I'm a subscriber, so I just got it in the mail this week. I would assume that it's going to be available via Big Bad Toy Store pretty quickly. Last time I looked, they had a little pre-order button, but I wouldn't imagine that it's going to take too long to get to you. So that's Toy Collector Magazine, number 21. Thank you again to Blake. And now it's time to get into Wave 2. All right, so I'm not going to bore you guys with the mountain of test shots, okay? This is all plastic being poured, coming off the molds for each and every one of these figures. Now, it's kind of fascinating to see how they structure each mold, how they fit all the parts on the molds and optimize, what they decide to pair together and everything. But why spend a lot of time on this when we have actual colored EPs to look at? So I'm not gonna belabor this stuff too much. But there's an absolutely gigantic bag of test shot pieces here. All right, so we'll move on from that. And now I had a couple figures loose that I just wanted to throw out here. This is Breacher, and this is his buddy Hellhound. For those of you that haven't seen it yet, Hellhound has an articulated neck right here, which I think is really cool. Now, we didn't want to do a ton of joints that would break up the design aesthetic of this scale. I think the 1/18 scale, it's cool to add articulation. It's not cool to create new joints that, really create visual distraction. So I don't want a hip joint. I don't want a knee joint for little animals that are 1/18 scale. I just don't think it works very well. But when you can, dogs carry a lot of expression in their head. So when you can put that little head turn, it gives you a lot of emotion. That's fun for pictures. So anyway, there's Hellhound. He looks amazing. I think there's, 4 colors on him? You got the light base coat, you got the dark brown, you got the green, you got the red. Yeah, I think it's just the 4. Even in the eyes, you got the brown pupil, and then you got the red eyes, which I'm sure this won't do the macro well enough to really get that. But these are incredibly complex paint apps. I'm really proud of what we've been able to accomplish, and I will tell you, we spared no expense when it came to paint apps for this line. I think we are doing paint apps that are on par with what people are doing for 6-inch figures, and we're doing it in the 3 3/4 inch scale, the Lord scale, the scale that brought me into toys and has made me a lifelong toy fan. Don't get me wrong, I buy the 6-inch stuff. I buy 2 of everything still. Well, actually, from Hasbro, I cut it off at 150. I'm only doing 1 of each. But for the most part, I'm a big fan. I collect that stuff, but this is my scale. This is what I'm really, really partial to. This is what I grew up loving, and so this is what I want to make. And I think he looks incredible. The head sculpt for this one was by Mike Good. The full body sculpt was by Bill Merkline. It was modified by Carter. And when I say modified, I don't want to downplay that. James Carter does a tremendous amount of detail work on these and fixes a lot of issues that we had and always makes these things infinitely better. So thank you to Carter. It's a really cool hat, man. It's got a little bit of flex to it. It feels like a hat bill back here. Really, really sweet. That's glued on, of course, so you're not gonna be able to pull that off. And yeah, he's got a China Lake grenade launcher and a Keltec shotgun, a KSG. I actually have one of those, and I love that shotgun. When you finish 14 shells downrange with that, the paper target's gone. I've never shot a China Lake grenade launcher, but I'm sure that's fun too. So you got some China Lake 40mm grenades here. You got some flashbang grenades because he's a door kicker, kicking that door in and throwing the grenades. And so the dog, Hellhound, of course, has more 40mm grenades and more 12 gauge shotgun shells there. So of course we're thinking through all the details, making sure that the companions are being rightfully supportive. And here's the figure stand. This has the Atlas logo designed by Ron Rudat, and it's got a touch of color on it. Obviously, we got red on the Atlas A, and then we also have gold on the Orthrus skull, which you'll see in just a second. So one other figure that I had loose from wave 1, and this is it for wave 1, we'll move on to wave 2, is General Mortifero. And this is what I was telling you about, having that pistol in his hand and having it hidden under the cape. I really love that it's like literally boot right there, man. It's like exactly where the pistol is. And this, like I said, has a little wire in it, so you can kind of form that the way you want it. Now we're doing another figure that's gonna have a cloak and a cape, and that's gonna have a wire in the top of the cloak, and it's gonna have a wire in the bottom of the cape, and that's gonna be really posable, and that's for our ninja character. So the knife here, kind of the ceremonial sword here, pegs in, and it's really, like you saw how much resistance I had there. These pegs are solid, man. Like the communication point, or the connection point, excuse me, is very, very snug, and I love it. Super well done by the factory. You can see all the little details on the buttons right here, the little gold details. Even the shoulder pauldron has little gold buttons on it as well. The face mask has that perfect sheen to it. It's a beautiful figure. He's got those kind of German pants on that bow out. He's got a knife behind the back, like I was telling you, because he will sneak one on you. He is not a reliable guy. And the figure stand, look how snug that was. You saw how snug that was to come off of there. These guys at the factory are doing the thing, man. They are doing it. Everything fits how it should. It's very reliable. Beautiful figures and very function as they should. So what I wanted to show you though is this figure stand. Now this is Orthrus. Orthrus is a 2-headed dog, and just a little spoiler alert, you're only gonna meet the first head of Orthrus in year 1, and there will be more. He's got these awesome riding boots, these buckles. Like this is a detail that James added in post-production. I should mention that this figure was sculpted by Mike Good, and James Carter, again, makes a massive impact everywhere he goes. So let's move on to wave 2. Now these are test shots, but this is the full figure. We're not gonna have a bald lady yet. Don't sweat that. The hair is actually right there next to it. But this is what you would call test shots. So these are the first shots coming off the cut tools. And so these have been, you know, we go through a couple model stages. We go through a first model, then we go through a second model. These are resin, they're printed, they're where you're really like refining. The 3D sculpt is already dialed in before we send it to the factory, but then the factory works through from an engineering standpoint, making sure everything works perfectly, all articulations where we want it to be. So these are the first test shots coming off of the plastic mold, or excuse me, coming off the metal molds after we've gotten through multiple rounds of resin prototypes, which we call a first model and a check model. So those are test shots. Get those out of the way. Here's another white test shot. Set of white test shots. Put that over here. More test shots. There's Soul Eagle. First time you guys are seeing him. All right, but let's get into the colorful stuff. There are 4 figures in each wave for year 1. Soul Eagle. This is wave 2. We got Soul Eagle. We've got Rattello. And I think they're actually, the order is Rattello and then Soul Eagle. And then I think it goes Bearclaw, and then it goes Bingle. But these are all going to ship together, and they're going to ship likely around May. I'll just go ahead and say May. I actually think all manufacturing is going to be done with these by early to mid-April. They take the month of March off, and right when they get back, they're going to be cranking this is in the production queue already. So all we are doing at this point is looking at the EPs. So we've already been through the first model. We've been through the second, the check model, and now we're at a full color engineering pilot. This is not the final engineering pilot. The final engineering pilot with all the packaging will come next. So let's get in here and look at Rattello. All right, so full disclosure, this is the idea that I had when I was a kid, and it is crazy. I'm 46 years old right now. I submitted this idea when I was 10 years old. So this is a figure that is 36 years in the making. It's just insane, man. It is insane. This is insane. This is freaking insane. All right, so who is Rattello? Rattello is a radio teletype operator. He is, you know, a character that I came up with as a 10-year-old because my dad was in the Army, and I remember looking around and saying, okay, you know, obviously I'm into G.I. Joe, but what's missing? You know, like what MOS is not represented? And I was like, well, you know, Cobra's got a Televiper. I don't think, you know, we had already had dial tone at that point. I was too young to pick up Breaker in 1982. I was born in 79, so Breaker wasn't a thing for me. Of course, I saw him on the cartoon, but my first communications officer was dial tone. And I wanted to have a communications officer that was a little more kind of real world. And I, for whatever reason, as a kid, loved pigeons. And for those of you that don't know your military history, pigeons were actually useful, and there was an Army Corps that had pigeons in the ranks for communications throughout World War I and World War II. And it even, you know, Pablo Escobar used pigeons to send communications when he was in his kind of sweetheart jail deal that they gave him. So this is Rattello with all of his awesome accessories. This is the figure stand, same as you just saw for Breacher. So he's an Atlas operative. He's obviously a good guy. You know that by the figure stand. Now, when we took the idea of Rattello, so this is my buddy, and we took the idea of the carrier pigeon, and I told Ron Rudat, we don't have to do Rattello. We can do something else. And Ron Rudat was like, no, this is great. We'll run with this. And so he started working on Rattello, which is amazing. This is the first time that I've seen this guy full colored at this scale, and it really gives you a sense of the level of detail that they are able to accomplish with these paint apps. This is an insane amount of detail on the paint apps. You got the fully gray bird, right? You've got the olive drab on the vest. You've got the olive drab on a little helmet that he's wearing. He's got a backpack with little like Rob Liefeld pouches on it. So that's olive drab too. So you got that secondary color. You got the orange on the feet. I believe that's a different silver for the little message canister on his leg. So I believe it's the gray, the olive drab, the orange, the silver, and then you got the black highlights on the bird as well. And then you have this blue color, which a lot of pigeons have. And I wanted to show you guys this is a little bit flexible as you would want it to be for the bird. So that's so fun for me to finally feel this like in workable bird form. And he looks beautiful. Now, he attaches to the backpack. So this is the radio teletype operator backpack. Very, very cool design by Ron Rudat and modeled by Adam and then revised by Mark Jerwig. So there's been so many people involved with this. I really want to make sure that I thank everybody appropriately. There is a page for Rattello on 3D Joe's. If you go to 3djoes.com/Rattello, then you'll see a page and it walks through the whole creative process for this figure. But this is a really cool backpack. I loved what Ron Rudat did here with these shoulder straps. So the straps kind of plug in at the top and then they come around, and you can either use the kind of tighter setting here or you can use the looser setting here, right? So those are the flexible straps. I've never seen straps like that on a 1/18th, you know, a real American Hero style O-ring figure. So I think this is a very cool little backpack innovation here. I really dig that. I know they did stuff like this in the 4-inch more modern stuff. So I feel like we're bringing some of the 4-inch more modern aesthetic into the 3 3/4 O-ring aesthetic, which I think is great. Down to the factory, you know, when we sent this backpack design over to the factory, there wasn't anything on the interior here, and we wanted more of like an Alice frame kind of look for it. So we added that detail. I want to shout out to my amazing factory partner, Big Joe, Joseph Long. He's amazing. He adds so much value to the project. You know, neither one of us are ever fully satisfied. Like, we're always thinking of ways to make things better, and it's so incredible. I think he was the one that recommended, like, hey, let's add some detail to the inside of that backpack. And I was like, yeah, of course we should. So that's amazing. Anyway, so the bird, which the bird is named Homer. It was named by Larry Hama. And so obviously Rattello just sits right there on his perch, and you don't have to send the bird out to dangerous work because now you have this drone. So when we were going through the design process with Ron Rudat, he came up with a bunch of different designs, everything from a bird to a cyborg bird to an armored bird to a drone. It just like really ran the gamut. And I worked with Kurt Bazigian to decide what we wanted to end up producing. You can't make everything. You have to decide, pick and choose ideas, and then push those forward. And so Kirk was like, let's do both. I was like, okay, thank you. We're going to do both. So this is really, really cool. Another really nice detail is this is like a big DSLR zoom lens, and you can see the little cupping of the camera lens right there on the peg. So, you know, we could have left that a little peg and just had it not kind of play the story forward. But since this is a drone, like, yes, it's a functional peg that sticks down into the backpack. But then when you pull it out, it's actually a like telephoto zoom lens. So when this drone is overhead, you can get a massive zoom capability with that lens. So I thought that was really cool. So that plugs in right there. And then you have your weapon. Of course, he's got a machine gun with a suppressor. And I'm not going to say the actual gun names because these are inspired by real world guns, but we're not going to use the real world gun names, and we did modify them enough, just like how they did back in the day, so that any particular armorer will not be offended by us using their names without licensing their design. So this is his helmet, and it's got a, you know, really cool kind of tactical feel with a headset, with a deluxe headset on it, of course. And as you would expect for a communications officer to have a nice headset. And then he's got the microphone that goes right in over his mouth right there. So we'll go ahead and drop that in on it. And you can hear that kind of snug fit, right? That helmet's not going anywhere. I love that sound. That's how you know you got a nice snug fit there. And so this is what you do when you get the EPs in. You know, you put the accessories on, you test everything, you make sure that it's working right. And I can't believe this is the first time that I get to play with Rattello. How crazy is that? And you get to check the paint apps and make sure that the olive drab on the strap right here, for example, matches the olive drab of the backpack closely enough. And it does. So I got to give thanks where thanks are due. This figure was designed by Ron Rudat and art directed by Kurt Bazigian. And I remember when Kurt Bazigian selected that bright blue shirt, I was like, oh man, that's not the selection that I would have made, but I think it's going to work. And now that I see it, it's like, yeah, this is why G.I. Joe was so great. They have those little touches of color. You know, you got this like kind of maybe a pumpkin. It's like a little bit darker of an orange on his little bandana here or handkerchief here. And then you got this bright blue and you got these silver grenades. One of the things I was able to work in, and I always try to get like cool little nods here. This is a De Oppresso Liber. Actually, this is my ring from my father. This is De Oppresso Liber, Special Forces. He served with 3rd Group, 5th Group, and 7th Group. I believe he helped stand up 3rd Group. He also was a tent pole guy at JSOC, meaning he helped stand up JSOC back in the early 80s. Amazing. He's my real American hero. So I got the De Oppresso Liber on the belt buckle here for this character. And then my dad had a full set of tiger stripe fatigues, which were really popularized in Vietnam. He did 3 tours in Vietnam. And so we used to wear his tiger stripe fatigues as kids, and that was just kind of a staple around the house. So I wanted to do the tiger stripe fatigues here, and I wanted to do the Special Forces De Oppresso Liber on the belt buckle as a shout out to my dad. And when you see the file card, I believe the character's named Theodore R. Kirby or something. And my dad is Theodore and my mom is Kirby. So he's got a flare gun on his left thigh right there. Because again, he's a communications officer. He's got all the analog ways that you would need to communicate, be it carrier pigeon or be it flare gun. And then he's got the smoke grenades. So the different colors, you know, different colors indicate different things from the sky when you're seeing different smoke grenades. And then he's got a QWERTY keypad here. So this is like an old school QWERTY style keypad on his hand, right on his forearm right here. So this guy is just like communications all over his body. You will not see this reused elsewhere. And you will not see this, you know, parts from him reused elsewhere and not think, oh, that's Rattello, because he's got literally like communication stuff everywhere. So he looks amazing. Very, very happy with this figure. So we're just going to finish getting him decked out. And FYI, these all have swivel wrists. I think most of you know that by now. But these swivel wrists allow us to use a softer plastic from here down. So you should be able to kind of bend and open these hands, like see how easily that one opened up right there. And if it's a little bit harder, which I've heard from some of you that are getting figures, no sweat. This is a softer plastic. If you want to, you could use a heat gun, or you could use a hair dryer, or you could use hot water. But I do not think you're going to break these hands by stretching them out a bit, by putting weapons in them. So have at it. All right, so we're gonna put him on the stand. That is crazy, man. I cannot believe. This is my buddy. Look at him. He looks incredible. Shout out to mom and dad. Thank you for supporting your crazy kid. Look, mom and dad, we did it. We made Rattello. Pretty insane. And I love how the blue matches what's on the bird. And this is a regularly appearing color on pigeons. So to have him wearing that blue is like, it kind of takes his pigeon obsession to the next level. I love it. I could not be happier with that character. So we will leave him right there. He looks amazing. Thank you, Big Joe. You are killing it, buddy. Absolutely killing it. All right, this is Soul Eagle. Now, this character is very important to, I mean, it's very important to me, but the concept creator, David, he's from Puerto Rico, and this character is a kind of a luchador wrestler type character. Now, he is Puerto Rican and Mexican, of Puerto Rican and Mexican descent. He's an American citizen, and all Puerto Ricans are Mexican citizens. For the record, for those of you that don't know, now you know, and knowing is half the battle. So this is a big wrestling guy, and his father was a championship wrestler, and he's not personally, you know, he's an active duty operative, so he's not a wrestler, but he wears his father's mask, and he wears his father's championship belt. And check this bad boy out. We chromed it. Yep. Oh, it looks so amazing. That's crazy. So it's a two-part, obviously. You got this softer plastic for the belt, and then you got the metallic kind of championship belt in the middle, and the plastic feels amazing. It's not going to be any problem putting that on him, so that's exciting. Because, you know, I've had these 3D printed and hand painted, and I've had the kind of, you know, the paint masters and all that stuff in hand. This is the first time I've had the actual toy product in hand. I've been watching it, you know, on a computer screen as it evolves, and it's so cool to finally have that first chance to play with the figure, you know. It's just amazing. Now, in Puerto Rico, the Taino sun is a very important symbol of their culture, and Ron Rudat added that, actually. So when David pitched this concept, it didn't have that, and I think that was something that really touched David when he saw that, when the design work started to come in from Ron Rudat. I know that was very touching to David. So playing up the wrestling aspect, we got these nice elbow pads on the back, and he's also got these flying eagle knee pads. I absolutely love these. One of the ways I'm able to make an impact on this project was I made the decision that these flying eagle knee pads needed to attach at the top of the leg so that he could do a flying eagle move, bah, and hit you with the bah, like hit you with the eagle beak. How cool is that? That is ridiculous. I love it, man. This is a ridiculous character. He's a wrestler, man. He's a luchador wrestler that's like in the military, in this like super, you know, we're the best of the best. We're the supreme anti-terrorist, you know, anti-terrorist Legion of Allied Soldiers, Atlas. We are the best of the best. And he's wearing his dad's wrestling mask, and he's got these flying eagle knee pads. And the way Larry Hama wrote the file card, like he's going to go into combat yelling and screaming and singing and just like being a performer. So I just thought this was so funny, like so perfect that these could be used as a weapon. Bah! Just hit him with the beak. So anyway, he's got, you know, the cool military boots. He's got a knife on his left thigh. He's got a pistol on his right thigh. Let's see, he's got the armor on the chest. He's got the rounds for his. So he's basically, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of a weapon called the Judge, but there's a pistol that shoots shotgun rounds. So what I wanted to do for his pistol was make a pistol that shoots shotgun rounds. It's not the Judge, it's a different design. He's got a communications device. He's got a grenade. He is Diesel. He's got vascularity on his arms. You can see the rippedness of the arms there. So let's see. Right there, you can see some in the bicep there, and I believe there's some in the forearms as well. And of course, he's got the kind of sweat wristband, so he can go up and wipe the sweat off of his face. That's really cool too. He just looks amazing. The paint app details on the face mask, like we really labor over this stuff. And man, the factory is just absolutely delivering on it. Like adding the white for the tie going down the back of the mask, that was a late addition there, and it really makes that pop. One of the things we just talked about is this white band across the back of the knee needs to be carried across. So that's one of the revisions that Joe already caught. Like look at the ripped triceps in the back. This is James Carter right here doing this sculpture work. Those ripped triceps look amazing. So I am super proud of the sculpt detail and the level of paint application detail that we're able to get in these figures. They look incredible. All right, so for his loadout, he's got a backpack, right? He's got a giant, well, it's not like giant, it's a handheld Gatling gun. Look at this weapon. Ron Rudat designed this. I love this weapon. Now, this was obviously molded in 2 pieces because you wouldn't be able to pull that off with a release from the mold coming out this way and coming out this way. So what we did was we sculpted most of the weapon so that would come off on a 2-part, but then the cap on the Gatling gun had to be on a 3rd part. And that's the level of commitment that we have to these sculpts. We want to stay true to the designs, and if that means we need to spend a little more in terms of molding and assembly, then that's what we're going to do. So what that took here was making this gun a 2-parter, right? Totally worth it. But this gun is actually a 3-parter because it's got an ammo can that clips into it. So you see where the ammo goes in right there. So it's not on the other side, it's just on that side. So that's your indication. Your ammo lines up right like that. So you come in here with the little peg and you put that right there, and that's your ammo can. Now, his Gatling gun is going to chew through ammo. So we had to give him 2 more ammo cans, and they slide right there into that backpack. This is the first time I felt it at this scale and got to play with it. It's crazy how much smaller this stuff feels. So there you go, and you heard how snug that was when it went in there. So he's got 2 ammo cans that peg into the backpack, and he's got a 3rd ammo can that pegs into the gun, but you could take that off, and you could also store it in the backpack right here. Now, this is a little bit flexible. This has a little give in it, so don't worry about that. You can actually kind of nudge it right up in there. There you go. You heard that? Not a problem. So that's made out of that softer plastic too, so that this is like the hand plastic that's softer. So you've got 3 ammo cans right there, and you can just get in there with your fingernails or whatever and just kind of pull it out and stick it in the gun. So he's got a backpack with 3 ammo cans. He's got his handheld Gatling gun. He's got his championship belt, which is chromed. Awesome. He's got the pistol that I was telling you guys about that uses the shotgun shells. So that's what the ammo on his chest armor is for, this gun right here. And then on his leg, this is a reveal. On his leg, he's got this pistol right here, right? What we're gonna do for the version 2, year 2 release of this, they accidentally tooled this up. I was like, no, it's not a problem. We'll add that in for the year 2, version 2 release of this character. So that'll be a cool little addition. So I'm gonna go ahead and put his gear on real quick. Look how snug that stuff is. Go ahead and put this little Gatling gun on the hand right here. And guys, do not be worried about these hands. Like, you can hear that soft plastic. You're not gonna hurt the plastic, I promise. But if it makes you feel more comfortable, please feel free to heat it up. So these are actually hand-painted prototypes, and I am worried about messing up the paint a little bit, to be honest. But they're prototypes, and that's what they're here for. So I should just get over that. That's like the collector in me that doesn't want to damage it. So I'll just get over that and not worry about it. If you see paint, like I've already seen it at one place where I lifted a joint up, see that right there? That's because these are hand-painted prototypes. So that's obviously not going to be in the figure. It's going to be molded in color to that color, so don't worry about that. All right. We'll get this little gun down in there. So he's got both of his pistols. Beautiful. And we'll put the championship belt on. Probably should put the belt on before you put the backpack on. There's a little peg so you can see how it comes together there with the two pieces. Make sure I got it right side up. Yep. Awesome. And then you've probably seen this kind of design before, where it's just got a little ridge, and you just have to get it past one of these ridges. There it goes. So you could just get it past one of those. Now, if you wanted to, you could get it past the second one. You probably have to lift it up higher on his torso to get it past the second one. But there's two ridges right there. So if you just get that part that sticks out right there to sit right between the two ridges that are on the other part, that's probably optimal in how they designed it. But yeah, that looks awesome. Look at that belt on there. Incredible. Yo, we did it, David. It's working, man. Incredible. All right, and then this, again, you just line the ammo up with where the ammo goes in, and then you push this little peg over there, and he's good to go. And then we got his figure stand. And I don't want them to have more weapons than they can carry, right? So I'm gonna take this pistol out of here. This pistol is not coming with version 1. We're including the shotgun pistol, like the Judge, and that'll be coming with version 1. I don't really want to give them too many weapons to where they can't carry their full loadout, and that's why we're looking for creative ways to have them carry their weapons like in the backpack, for example. So when he's got one can in the gun right there, Big Joe showed me that you can actually fit this pistol into the backpack right here. So I haven't tried this yet. This is a live stream doing things that I have not yet done. So I'm playing with these toys for the first time, and you guys are seeing it. I wish I could answer questions while I'm doing this. I think I'm gonna have to come in at an angle like that. Yeah, I don't know. Big Joe showed me how to do it though. Showed me that it would work at least. Let's try going in upside down. Ah, there it is. There it is. All right, so yeah, if you put it in upside down with the handle up top, and look at that, not even falling out now. So that is a snug fit. I would call that a happy accident. I don't know that we planned that. We planned this little area right here to hold an ammo can, and it just so happens to hold that pistol too. So meeting my desired goal of not giving these guys weapons that they can't carry, that's pretty awesome. Because when you put the backpack on them, you don't see that there's a gun back there, do you? Check that out. The gun's not falling out, right? And you don't see that it's in there. That's brilliant. I'm very happy with that. So, okay, I'm gonna put this out there as a question. I can't check the comments right now, but would you guys rather have that pistol come with version 1 and version 2, or would you like it to be kind of held back so it's something special for version 2? Let me know in the comments. I will accept whatever you guys vote for in the comments. How about that? All right, so this is it for version 1 of Soul Eagle. He looks fucking incredible, and sometimes you just have to cuss. I apologize, but I did mark this video as not for kids, so that's okay. He looks incredible, man. Those colors are popping. He looks awesome. I hope you love it, David. Shout out to all my Puerto Rican friends. There have been a lot of you guys jumping in and buying that figure, man. So I'm very excited to get you guys some representation. I know Hot Sauce, Robert Atkins and company created him for the comic book. I don't think he's made it out in action figure form yet, So we're just going to beat them to the punch. And this shows you a bit of the scale difference here. Now look at the height difference between Soul Eagle and Rattello there. Let me put them in the center. This is by design. So this shows you the kind of scale differences that we want to have in the line. Soul Eagle is a little bigger by design. We want him to be that big, imposing wrestling guy. And then, but you can see next to General Mortifero, he's not taller than Mortifero, excuse me. So there's your height comparison for Soul Eagle and Mortifero. So those are the taller characters of the line. And our only shorter character of the line is going to be our Japanese technologist named Runback. So on the subject of really tall characters, let's have a look at Bearclaw. So shout out to my friend Gabriel. Gabriel and his brother actually came up with the concept of Bearclaw when they were kids. And so this is a kind of a childhood dream for him too, I believe, which is awesome. And Gabriel's become a really good friend of mine, as have many of these guys. You know, we started a Facebook group where we chat about this stuff every day. And so it's really, really special to have people that you trust, that you can lean on, that you can ask for input, and you trust their guidance and their motives and everything. And these guys have been amazing because they were selected from 270 or so applicants. Concept creators submitted these ideas for all these different characters. And I got together with Ron Rudat, Mark Pennington, Kirk Bazigian, my good friend Joe Goldston, and we all got together, and actually my nephew Kodiak, and we all got together and had a 3-day jam session and picked out the top 16 that we wanted to make, and then the second 16 that we wanted to make for year 2 if everything went well. We are doing all of those now. So we're working on year 2 right now. So this guy's name is Bearclaw. He's an outdoor survivalist, woodsman type guy. And the file cards from Larry Hama just really make him sing. He's got, if you can't see it right there, it's 3 scars going across his face. He literally got into a battle with a bear, and the bear left some damage. He's got this one earring here, total Ron Rudat style character, reminiscent, at least just head sculpt wise, of Taurus. Also reminiscent of Outback from an MOS perspective, a survivalist kind of guy. And he's been out in the woods so long that he's made a friend. We'll show you that in just a second. But he's got a Remington hunting rifle. And so you see Remington rounds on his chest. He's got an axe that will peg in right here. He's got some more throwing knives and tools in a pocket right there and a pocket right there. All of his clothes are handmade. So you have these rough edges around the shirt, right? You got rough edges around there. So similar to Rattello, if we use any of his parts with somebody else, you're going to know like, hey man, that's Bearclaw's moccasins, right? So every one of these characters, every one of these designs is really unique. And that's why for year 1, we're not reusing any parts. We are spending probably $1 million on this project all in to make sure that every one of these character designs by Ron Rudat and Mark Pennington that we're delivering on them. And I didn't want to limit them in any way. So we just made the choice. We're not going to reuse parts in year 1. Now for year 2, like I've been telling you, we're going to have Desert Ops. We're going to have Midnight Ops. We'll have re-releases of figures, but those figures will have some unique parts with them too and completely different decos. And so it'll be awesome. I'm going to show you tonight Midnight Ops of Bearclaw. Remember what Bearclaw looks like in version 1, and then I'm going to show you what he's going to look like for version 2. And then you'll get the drift. It's not going to feel like you're buying the same thing twice just to buy it twice. So, all right, let's dig in on his accessories. Now, I told you that he got into a fight with a bear, and you know, we don't necessarily condone killing animals, but when they're trying to kill you, you might have to kill the animal at some point. Look at this bear. Oh my God, it feels great too. It's like really soft, you know, as you would want an animal skin to be, like it's rigid in the head a little more. And then it's really soft down here. Oh, that just feels great. Like you can peel it open. And so what they did was, you know, they've got the head mold right there inside the bear skin. So it's just gonna, you know, pop on that bald head of his and sit in there nice. You hear that? Listen to this. I'll just shut up for a second. You hear that? That's awesome. This is not going anywhere. You know what I mean? The engineering that these guys are doing at this factory, you guys are on it, man. I am so happy with you guys. The attention to detail from the project manager, and then the level of engineering expertise of my factory partners I am just so pleased with you guys. This is my first time getting hands-on with this figure. I was worried how this was gonna look, how this was gonna feel, and it feels awesome and it looks awesome. So thank you for being great at what you do. So anyway, we're gonna push this on here. Now, one of the paint app things that we caught, he's got teeth molded in right here. These are gonna have to be painted white. So that will be like a nice little color pop right there. But yeah, man, he's got like little scar damage on his face. He looks awesome. And of course we had it split in the back so that you could fit the backpack in there. And look how natural it looks falling down at the ends of it. Really beautiful work. This was sculpted by Mike Good, and the bear cowl and the figure was sculpted by Mike Good, and then it was revised by Carter. And so thank you both for the amazing work. Let's jump in on the axe. So he's got like a little tomahawk. Now there's a little peg here. And what we're gonna do is make sure that each of these pegs are interchangeable. So the tomahawk on him, the blade that you saw on Mortifero, and then who was the other blade that I was just working on? There's another character that has a pegged in blade. So there's the tomahawk blade that sits right there on his chest. Looks good. And it's soft enough, you know, this is that soft plastic. You can really get it in there and just push it. You know what I mean? Push it until it's fully seated in there. That's what we want you to do. We don't want it to be like sticking off of there, popping off of there. We want it fully seated. So don't be worried too much about these soft plastic accessories. Look at this backpack. What is this, a 4-color backpack? It's green, and then you got multiple spray ops, right? You got the dark brown, you got the light brown, and you got the silver. It's a 4-color backpack. Did that ever happen in a Real American Hero? I don't think so. Like, I just don't think that they invested that kind of money in paint apps. And that's what we want to do a little bit different. We want to not cut costs. and that might be to my detriment. If we only do 1 year of this, it will be because of what I just said, right? Because we didn't cut cost, right? We want to fulfill the dreams of the designers. So if they were dreaming of a 4-color backpack, by God, we want to give them a 4-color backpack if we can pull it off. So we'll go ahead and put this little peg right there in his back. Yep, and I just wanted to double check and make sure that that was right side up. There's a water bottle right here, so you can see that that's right side up that way. And then I was looking at this right here. This might have to turn around, but probably not. So there is a Remington rifle here, and this slides right down in. And yes, nice. All right, so it's got that nice snug fit for the Remington. And again, you do the shake test and make sure that it doesn't fall out. So he's got a nice Remington hunting rifle, and you push it through and get it all the way up to the scope, and that'll keep it in there. Water bottle goes up, so you know which way that this goes up. I'm gonna push this little bear cowl down far on him, and then I'm gonna get in here, because it looks to me like this is a little bit short, and I'll double check that. But if it goes in and stays in, and it's not gonna fall off with the bear cowl on, then I'm happy. Like, they might have trimmed that to just the right. You know, at a glance, I thought it might look a little bit too short, but seems like it's good stuff. It's not going to fall out of there. So, yeah, he looks incredible. He looks incredible. What do you guys think? How do you like Bearclaw? Well, you haven't even met Wilson. Where did Wilson come from? So Wilson is freaking awesome. Ron Rudat had done all his design work for Bearclaw. He was done. Like, what he was doing was his final final line art. This is where he's given us a bunch of ideas, and Kurt Biziggy and I have written it up and like marked things up, and he's come back and he's given us revised designs. I really love this pistol right here. It's just a beautiful pistol design. I should also mention that Mark Jerwig has done all the accessory modeling for these. So everything from the battle axe, you know, to the pistol, to the Remington, to the backpack. Mark Jerwig has been doing an amazing accessory modeling job for us. So thank you, Mr. Jerwig. Mark II, he's an incredible guy. Also 26-year Navy veteran. So really cool to have a real world veteran in here with us. And so Bearclaw was looking great, right? He was looking awesome. But Ron Rudat did a piece of final line art that had him with like a leg up on a log. And inside the log was this little face, like the log was like this, and there was this little face. And I was like, Ron, who the hell is that? And he's like, it's just a raccoon. I just put a raccoon in there. So I was like, no. That's his friend, man. Because this guy's out in the woods all the time. He spends way too much time in the woods. And yes, he probably fed the raccoon once, and then the raccoon wanted to hang out with him. So this is a really beautiful raccoon sculpt. This was also sculpted by Mike Good initially, hand sculpted by Mike Good, and then it was revised again by Carter. And you guys probably can't see the detail in here, but there's little bitty white pupils in here, and he's got the perfect little raccoon kind of markings over the eyes and in the ears and on the nose and on the feet, and the little striped tail. It's so cute. This is probably like gonna win the cute award for the animal companions that we'll be making for Recall. I'm a fan of Wilson. I'm trying not to be biased. The little pieces that I'm able to bring into the line, you know, you always have a little bias toward them, but yeah, cute little raccoon, that's on me. If you guys don't like it, I'll take the heat for that one. All right, so we've got Bearclaw, we got Wilson, we got Soul Eagle with his championship belt, and we got Rattello. And yeah, so Bearclaw is another one of the tall figures. I guess this is the tall figure wave. And this is also the Atlas wave. These are all good guys. You know, we came heavy with the bad guys in the first wave. The only good guy is Breacher and Hellhound. And we came heavy with the good guys in the second wave. So now we're going into the grand finale of wave 2. And she is an Indian intelligence sniper. All right, so I'm gonna move these guys out of the way, up and at them. Man, I love Wilson. All right, so this is our Indian intelligence sniper, and her name is Bingle, like a Bengal tiger. And now the hair is not glued in place, so I wanna make sure that it's like perfectly seated on her head before I show you guys close-ups. So yes, all of the heads for the women in Operation Recall are going to have separate hair pieces like 1984 Baroness. When I was a kid and looking at Scarlet and looking at 1983 CoverGirl and looking at 1984 Baroness and looking at 1985 Lady J and looking at 1986 Zorana, the only figure that they really did well, in my opinion, that was a decent, like, come on, it's a toy. We're not attracted to toys or whatever. But the only attractive O-ring female figure, in my opinion, was the Baroness. And it was because of that that separate hair piece, what they were able to pull off with that. So, you know, obviously gravity's going to work against me, but this hair piece will be glued in. She's got little sideburns, not sideburns, but like a little tuft of hair coming down the sides. And then she's got her hair in a bun, tied up in the back. She's all business when she's doing her sniping. She doesn't want her hair getting in the way. So that's going to sit obviously down lower right there. So the hair will be glued in right there. So you guys get to see it from the back and turn it around to the front. So that's what the hair will look like from the front. She's got the red lips, the red dot in the forehead, beautiful paint apps on the face. She's got some sniper rounds on the chest right there. And that's not one color, that's two color, man. It's got orange for the straps that are holding it in and gold for the bullets themselves. That bright blue works really well with Rattello and Homer's bright blue. She's got those gold rounds with the orange straps there again on her forearms. Even her gloves, even her hands are three color, right? She's got these open fingertips, which you would want for a sniper. And then she's got a little bit of armor padding on her gloves right there. And so, yeah, you got that three color combo just there, just right there on the hands. The forearms, for example, three colors again. You got the tan skin, you got the orange, and then you got the gold, and it's just looking absolutely beautiful. So I think this figure is the most beautiful, most nicely proportioned O-ring style vintage type figure that I've ever seen. And I'm not sandbagging that. And I'm getting ready to show you guys another version of her that I think will seal the deal on this one. So I'm gonna set her down. If her hair falls off, that's just because it's not glued in place yet. She looks incredible though. I can't wait for you guys to have these figures in hand. And I know you're probably wondering, when are you gonna have them in hand? They will be ready most likely in May. We're gonna manufacture as soon as they come back from the Chinese holiday. And then they'll get to work manufacturing. I think they're due to finish these in mid-April. So there's the Atlas figure stand for her, obviously. You've seen that multiple times throughout this wave. Now, she's gonna have a touch of color, and this is a cloth garment called a sari. And so what you're gonna wanna do for that is just raise one of the arms up, just like that. And then you're gonna drop this down over the arm and come over the head. And then it will rest right there on her hip, just like that. So that's a sari. That's a popular piece of clothing in India. And it just gives her a beautiful little touch of color there. I should have glued that hair on before I started that. And then another thing we wanted to give her is a little face mask. This has a nose indentation right here. And so this will kind of go up and around. I'm gonna ask them to make this plastic a little bit thicker, like a little bit more, I want it to retain its shape, be a little harder to bend. It's almost like too thin right now. But this kind of gives her that Wild West look with a little bandana covering her face right there. And it matches her sari, of course. So I think we're gonna make that out of a more rigid plastic. And like, even look at the knees, man. Look at the little gold rim around the knee pads and the gold on the knife here. It's just beautiful. These colors are looking fantastic. And one of the things that you'll notice, a lot of our figures have the same communication device on their wrist. So if you have a look at Bearclaw right there, and then you have a look at Bingle right there, they're on the same team. They've been issued the same communications device. That's gonna pop up in a couple places. So that's a cool little nod to them being a team. But yeah, I think this will be a more rigid plastic, and it'll be a little bit smaller. But that's gonna be a nice little addition for her right there. And then, of course, the sniper needs her sniper rifle. So you have a Lapua Magnum, I didn't say that. You have a sniper rifle that's a flat rock, whatever. Yeah. So anyway, beautiful sniper rifle, again, modeled by Mark Jerwig. The factory added the extra magazines right here. And then the factory is asking them to add a texture. Actually, I should say the project manager, Big Joe, is asking the factory to add that texture in right here. So this part of the case won't be so flat and just kind of dull. This will have a little texture to it. But I love that we added a few mags there, and you can even see a touch of color for the bullets. So that's beautiful. And then, of course, you have a flawlessly modeled sniper rifle by Mark Jerwig. So Mark II Toys is doing amazing work, and we're very, very grateful to have him. He's already working on year 2 stuff. And Mark, let me know when you want to get together and talk. I know I've been a little bit unavailable the last week. We should get together sooner than later. Thank you, bud. All right, so that is it for year 1, wave 2. What do you guys think in the comments? How you feeling about it? This is the Atlas reinforcements that many of you have been asking for. So, oh, let me bring them down. Duh. There we go. Sorry. All right, there we go. Get his wrist turned around. There we go. Get a better grip on that bad boy. That's awesome. All right, get a little Wilson down here. He's so tiny, but raccoons are small, so. And then let me put her figure stand on. It is crazy to be like looking at all these designs and looking at all the 3D renderings, looking at the hand sculpted 2-ups, the paint masters, like all the steps that we've taken along the way. And to finally have these actual 1/18 scale figures in hand, to just be able to gear them up, set them out on a table, and see what you guys think of them. They look incredible. There she is with her lifted up at the same level. So maybe I should fold up her gun case and put that behind her so she doesn't fall back too much. She doesn't have a backpack, so the rest of them have a backpack kind of pushing them forward. All right, so that's it for wave 2. I mean, look at this. Look at this figure. Look at her. She is incredible. Love it. All right, I'm gonna give you guys, anybody that doesn't like spoilers, you should probably just go ahead and head out. You should jump off the video, because I'm gonna show you guys what we're working on for year 2. Now, I do love, like, look at this gun. It's got a little paint app on the scope right there. That's the details, man. That's the details. All right, so we're gonna do this one figure at a time. I'm gonna show you the year 2 version. So you have been warned. If you don't like spoilers, now's the time to check out. This is Rattello and Homer. Year 1, wave 2, figure 1. Now, the second to last bonus figure, the 19th figure, Now he's the second to last bonus figure because I added a 20th bonus figure after that, which will be shipping with Wave 5 as well. And that brought us to a nice round 20 figures. We'll be shipping 4 waves of, or excuse me, 5 waves of 4. So he's got the same colored figure stand. Look at this deco. This is Midnight Ops Rattello. He looks badass. So of course he's still got the chrome on the De Oppresso Libre. You got to. But other than that, he's very toned down. He's ready for some midnight action. Looking beautiful. All right, and then, you know, if you were a force that was going out at night to do your operations, then you might want to have all black accessories, right? And traditionally speaking, I think most forces that travel and go out on missions at night have all black accessories. So that's what you can expect from Midnight Ops. This will be very thematically similar to other military forces that go out at night. There we go. Got your black drone, got your black telecommunications backpack. You even have your black sidekick. And, you know, if you look at old figures like Spearhead and Max, for example, that was the decision that was made back in the day. So that is why we're making that decision now. This is about tradition, and this is about aesthetic consistency. Aesthetic consistency. Let me go ahead and get him geared up. Now there will be a little touch of color on each of these. So he's got a little red readout on his QWERTY keyboard. And like I said, he's got the little pop of silver right there. And he's got a little red readout on his, this is an infrared that is a signal device. So yeah, it makes sense that that would be red as well. So I'm not gonna put his backpack on because you guys saw, you know, I'll have to unstrap it, then strap it back in. But that's what Midnight Ops Rattello looks like. He looks incredible. You can expect for all of the brightly colored figures for year 1, there's gonna be 5 of them, spoiler alert. Those will receive a Midnight Ops version in year 2. God willing, if the line does well, we are gonna do 20 figures for year 1 and 25 figures for year 2. Midnight Ops will be a 5-figure subset of that 25 figures. So we are getting ahead of this. What I want to get to is shipping a wave every 3 months. I want to get to quarterly shipping. So that's the goal. And one of the ways we're going to do that is by doing 5 waves of 5 figures for year 2. So that's how we'll get to 25. Now, spoiler alert, this is the most beautiful female action figure at the O-ring scale that I have ever seen. I'm just speaking for me. You know, you might disagree. You might have your other favorite, but I think she looks incredible. I love this figure. This figure is incredible. So it's the same sculpt as the other figure, obviously, but it's got a new hair sculpt, right? So she lets her hair down for the Midnight Ops. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? That just the color palette, the design, it's just amazing. That's just art. I love it. Love it. And so I mentioned before that each of these figures for Midnight Ops would have a little touch of color. And it's kind of like the foot stand, right? Like the foot stand is it's all black, but it's got that little touch of red for Atlas. That's standard with the normal Atlas figures, but that's also something that Midnight Ops does, where everything is really dark, and then you have that little pop of color. So, you know, for her, obviously, we had to have her sari be that touch of color. So that's more of a reddish orange color, whereas her original sari is pink. So that gives you an idea of the difference of the color palette there. All right, and the color palette here, I should mention, you know, that's all Ron Rudat right there. That pink, that blue, that orange, the tiger stripes, that's all Rudat. And then the Midnight Ops figures, me and the other concept creators, we've got a little group on Facebook, just a little Facebook Messenger group. And we have just been talking. They've been collaborative partners this entire process. I love you guys, and I'm really appreciative of you. And a lot of them are artists themselves. And so between me and them, we jumped in and we worked on these Midnight Ops color palettes, and we would throw them back and forth to each other and talk about them. And there's no, again, you just raise her arm up and then put it over the head and bring it down. And so there's no ego there. Everybody is relatively humble, and we just have a good time kicking things back and forth to each other. It's really, really an awesome environment, and that has brought me a lot of community throughout this process. So I'm very grateful for you guys. Nobody wants to work on a project this intense for this long without some friends along the way to kind of help you, talk you off a ledge, help you through a tough decision. So again, you see that same communications tablet, but look at the paint apps on that. Look at the paint apps. It's a black communications device with little red buttons on it. I am amazed that they pulled that off. That level of detail on these paint apps, that's ridiculous, man. That is 6-inch figure quality paint apps right there. No joke. I cannot wait for you guys to see this. If you have Dark Reapers right now, turn over Dark Reapers, look on his backside right here and on the back of his head, there's like communications pieces on him, and you'll see little red buttons and little blue buttons on top of the silver. And it's equally mind-boggling how detailed they're getting with these paint apps. So yeah, this is just a gorgeous figure. I love that figure to death. And so we created the little bandana that fits on her face. Again, this is where the little nose pokes out right there. So you find that piece. And again, I want this to be a little more thick, a little more rigid. This is kind of too floppy for me. I was thinking, you know, that this should go back into the shape that it wants to be in more quickly and should hold it a little tighter. But we'll go ahead and put that on there. And then the other piece that we're adding to this, so not only does she have a new hair sculpt, she's got the bandana on her face. That was a new creation for Midnight Ops, and we ended up adding it to version 1. So I'm not completely sold that, you know, daytime Bingle should have the bandana on her face. Again, in the comments, you guys let me know what you think. Do you think we should have that bandana on version 1, or should we just save it for her covering her face in the Midnight Ops? Anyway, one thing we are definitely holding here. And so, again, I feel like this is a 6-inch level of quality here that we're bringing to the 3 3/4 inch scale. This is probably like Heavy Metal's mic, where people are going to lose this accessory. So I would recommend buy 2 of each. You know, keep one on the mint on the card, and then buy one that you play with. And if you lose parts, no big deal. You know, you've got another one. So I'm going to take the little bandana off, and I'm going to put the NVGs on. And that'll give you an idea of what those look like. Look at that. Badass. She's amazing. She is amazing. I love it. And so I think this is going to need to be a little smaller. Let me try it, but it's probably going to interfere with the goggles, because I feel like this, what's supposed to be cloth, you know, it should be rigid plastic, and it should be a little smaller. But it'll fit together. I mean, you guys that are like toy photographers, you'll make it work. You'll make it work. There you go. She's incredible, man. Love that figure. All right, and then, obviously, she's got to have her sniper rifle. She's going on Midnight Ops to shoot things. And, of course, it's just a black rifle in a black case, but we did a little touch of silver on the ammo right there. A little touch of silver. And that matches the silver bullets that are on her arms right there, and that are on her chest right there. So nice little details. And since this is Midnight Ops, you know, she had to have the little red scope. So you got the little red dot on the scope back there to look through her optics. So could not be happier with that figure. All right, so that's Midnight Ops Bingle. Go ahead and put them side by side so you can see what they look like. Cool. So you've seen Midnight Ops Rattello, Midnight Ops Bingle, and we got 2 more to share. We'll stay with the Midnight Ops theme and show you guys Bearclaw and Wilson. So again, if you have a year 1 character that's predominantly like a lighter color palette, that's going to be a good candidate for Midnight Ops. Now we did want to balance the teams, so there was 5 and 5. So that's not like the hard rule. You'll actually see with Soul Eagle, he's not going to Midnight Ops, he's going to Desert Ops. But I think you'll like what we came up with for him. All right, so you get the same accessories, but again, this is Midnight Ops, so he's got a black bear on his head this time. I don't know if he killed 2 bears or if he spray painted it. I just don't know. I just don't know. You got the axe right here. Go ahead and peg that bad boy in. And there is like a little curvature where the hole is right here. There's a little curvature, so you really can jam this peg and the curved, you know, part of the axe that it's on. You can really jam that down in there. And again, these might be hand painted, so that if these are hand painted, I think they are hand painted. That might have made that hole a little tighter. But I ain't scared. Look at that. Push it right in there. Just don't worry about it, guys. Get in there and play with your toys, man. Have some fun with them, you know? We're gonna make 3,000 of each of these, maybe 4,000, definitely 4,000 of some of the troop builders, like Dark Reapers. There's 4,000 coming of him, because you guys are insane about Dark Reapers. Y'all love some Dark Reapers. So I've bought 4,000 of those, right? But the for the vast majority, there will be 3,000 of these, and we've already pre-sold, what is it, 1,500 to 2,200 of each figure. And so I think we will sell through. I sure hope we do, because if we sell through, that enables us to continue rolling straight into year 2, which, as you can see, we're already doing all the deco work, all the design work. We're designing 10 all new figures, like head to toe, 10 new figures. And then there's 5 additional characters that came from previous figures with additional parts. So you guys are gonna see, we have a lot cooking for year 2. Like I said, 25 figures. And so we need year 1 to sell through. To, you know, full transparency, I've always been about honesty with you guys. We need to sell through year 1 to pay for year 2. We could do a Kickstarter. I don't want to do a Kickstarter for more figures. What I would like to do is have the year 1 figures pay for the year 2 figures. And then if we need to do a Kickstarter to fund a vehicle, then that's what we do. So look at all these little red details right there on the tablet. God, that's beautiful, man. That masking job is insane. That's insane. And then the gun right here, of course, has the little red sight on it as well. So just absolutely beautiful, man. Absolutely beautiful. So this is Midnight Ops. It looks amazing. I'm very happy with it. And, you know, this is Bearclaw and this is Wilson. And the Remington rifle is right back there in the backpack. So that's your Midnight Ops. That rounds out Midnight Ops for Wave 2. And the last figure I have to show you is going to come with some soft goods. So this is a, what, 5-color camo? You've got the light tan, you got the orange, you got the white and the black, so it's a 4-color camo. And this is soft goods. I'm not sure what we call this. I'm not sure what the name is for this, but it's like a really weathered piece of fabric that Soul Eagle wears in the desert. And I guess to keep the sun off kind of thing, keep the sand out. There's a little button right there. So that shows you guys the level of detail that the soft goods people at the factory are putting in. The weathering, I love the edges here. The weathering on that looks great. And then, like I said, you got that 4-color camo going all the way across. And then you have the nice button to snap it together. So this is a new addition for version 2 of Soul Eagle. And you guys have already seen Desert Ops Breacher and Hellhound in Wave 1. So Soul Eagle is bringing up the rear. Look at this deco. This deco is crazy. I love the lime accents. You know, when Hasbro put out that that Steel Brigade, you know, I don't want to insult it. God, I can't think of anything to call it other than a porta potty. I'm sorry. All right. Anyway, when they put out that Steel Brigade playset, we'll call it, it had a similar deco to this, and I was like, hey, wait a minute, guys. And I posted something on Facebook immediately, like, just FYI, guys, we already came up with that deco, you know, before this was announced. I didn't want anybody seeing this and saying, hey, this looks like that Steel Brigade, whatever, playset. So he's got the same Flying Eagle kick, really cool. Got the lime green eyes on the Flying Eagle kick, lime green accents on the pistol shells, communications device, his goggles, obviously. Look at that black threading back going down the back, man. It is all about the details here. I mean, when's the last time you saw a full wrap 4-color camo? Just let that question sink in. Bobby does it on Valaverse. Bobby does it. Look at his camos. His camos are on point. He's not cheap with decos either. I have seen some disappointingly cheap camos where they're only doing camo on the front of the leg, for example. You know, this is your hard-earned money, and you get to vote with your dollars. And if you guys are voting on Operation Recall, I want to give you the best product we could possibly do. And that means wrap around camo. Wrap the camo all the way around. We've all seen fatigues. Fatigues aren't made to just be camouflaged on the front of the thigh or the front of the calf. Like, no, or the shin, I guess you would call it. Camo is wraparound. It's a fabric that is, you know, painted the same way all the way around and then sewn into pants, right? So anyway, I'll get off that high horse. I love the vascularity and detail in the musculature here, the tricep details in the back here. Like, Carter just killed it, man. This is another Ron Rudat design. So this is the Ron Rudat wave, by the way. I should mention that. I don't know if I've said this yet. Mark Pennington did 3 of the 4 Wave 1 figures. So if you're loving your Wave 1 figures, you are loving Mark Pennington. His design work is incredible, and he got 3/4 of Wave 1. Wave 2 is the Ron Rudat show. Ron did every one of these figures, and it just worked out that way. That wasn't really like a conscious decision on our part. But yeah, so this is the Ron Rudat wave. Shout out to Ron. But this is Desert Ops. This is Desert Ops Soul Eagle. And so the accessories are going to be different colors as well. The belt goes from being gold to being platinum. And the backpack goes from being olive drab to being gray. The figure stand for Desert Ops will be different. It'll be this tan. So this is going to be a really nice subgroup to display together. All of the ammo cans are that tan color, and then the accessories are black, or the guns are black. The ammo cans are tan, and then the backpack is gray. So I'll go ahead and put that together so you can see what all that looks like. Again, you just kind of grab it and just push it in there. Don't be worried about it. This is a harder plastic. This is a softer plastic. And it's just kind of made to be manhandled. Don't sweat it. You can bend this one and push it down to here, but you don't have to. I'm actually going to keep that out, and I'm going to pair it up with the gun. I always want the ammo can to be a different color than the gun, you know, unless we do a Midnight Ops version of him. We'll probably break the rule there. But if it's not Midnight Ops where we're going for that real monotone traditional look, then we should always do something that's a sharp contrast there, so you see the difference. And these ammo cans are actually 2-part molds as well, where the lid was molded separately. So we really wanted to execute on all Ron Rudat, Mark Pennington's awesome accessory designs, and we didn't want to water them down, you know, by making sacrifices in terms of the molds, you know, by watering down the designs so that they would draft out really easily. So I don't think the smaller gun was included with this, but I'm actually going to include the smaller gun with Desert Ops and probably not with the main line. I told you guys to vote on that. I'll look at the comments later and see what you had to say about it. Let's go ahead and get his, maybe we call this a parka? Like, what do you guys think we call this? David and Scott are probably watching. What do you guys think? David is the concept creator for Soul Eagle. All right, let me get good with this first. That's so tiny. Ah, there it goes. There's the snap. All right, had to get familiar with it. I recommend getting familiar with, you know, buttons and that kind of thing off of the figure before you put it on the figure and try to do it. There it goes. Again, I just kind of roughed it up, you know. And so I think the intent is that it kind of hangs like that, and then we'll have the Gatling gun at the ready. And we did agree to put a hole in the back of this. So these don't have a hole in them, but there will be a hole. So that'll show you like where you're supposed to line it up, because then you'll, you know, put the backpack through the hole, obviously. Let's go ahead and get him geared up. There it goes. I mean, you guys can hear me, you know, just really forcing it in there. What I did was I used my fingernail and kind of bent the fingers out a bit and then jammed it in there. But if you want, you could use a heat gun or you could use hot water. Obviously, I'm not using those things. You don't have to use those things. There we go. There's the Gatling gun. So yeah, this is Desert Ops Soul Eagle. I'm not going to do the total gear up because I would have to take the parka off, or poncho. Is that a poncho liner? Is that a whoopee? What is this thing, man? What's he wearing? Is it a whoopee? Poncho liner? Parka? What do we want to call that? And yeah, so we'll have the hole through the back so we could put the backpack on. We have the shotgun pistol right here. That will come with this figure. We will have the championship belt with the platinum. Actually goes that way. There's an eagle in there, so that's the indicator of which way's up. There's also grenades, so you can see the top of the grenades there. Look at that chrome. Who said you can't do chrome anymore? All right, so that is it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoy your Operation Recall Wave 2 update. Yeah, I think Whoopi's a good name for it. My dad always called the Whoopies poncho liners, but I've noticed other people call them Whoopies, and I like that name. I think that's a funny name for it. So let me bring these guys back up in here. And yeah, those of you that stuck with me, man, this is some major year 2 spoilers, and the only way that we could get this done is by year 1 doing well, right? So if year 1 sells well, if we are able to not sell through, we don't have to sell through every figure, but if we sell a good amount of the year 1 figures, enough to pay for year 2, I'm not going to do another Kickstarter for year 2. I just want to keep rolling the waves, man. I want year 1, wave 5, 4 figures to deliver, and then 3 months later, I want year 2, wave 1 to deliver. I want to just keep it rolling, man. And then hopefully, if these figures are doing well enough, we'll be able to invest in the comic book that we've been generating storylines for. And if the figures are doing well enough, we'll be able to invest in the 2 vehicles that I want to do right out of the gate. We've got ideas for an earthbound, terrestrial 4-wheel drive vehicle, and then we've got ideas for, we'll just say, an airborne vehicle. So thank you all for helping us do this, man. I'm still dumbfounded that I get to work with Ron Rudat, Mark Pennington, and Doug Hart, and Kirk Bazigian, and Larry Hama, and Ed Morrill, and Mark Jerwig, and Big Joe, Joseph Lung, and God, I'm gonna forget somebody, and I feel really bad about that. Bill Merkline, Mike Good. There's been so many people. There's been like 15 people that have touched on this project, and that doesn't even touch like all the Paintmaster people that have put in good time and work to show us what these figures would look like when we were in the 2-up stage. The Matthew LaCroix and the Chris Scotts, and God, I'm gonna forget some. Ray Murphy did a lot of great work. I hate it, like when I put myself on the spot to name every name. I didn't set out to do that, but there was at least 15 people that have touched this project and put in good work on it. And every one of you matters. Every one of you contributed good time, good energy to this, and that's why we have awesome toys right now. David's idea for Soul Eagle, Ron Rudat's design work on Soul Eagle, Bill Merkline's sculpt work on that, Mike Good doing the head sculpt. It's just incredible. James Carter, the Conqueror, man, adding all the detail that, wasn't completely dialed in, and man, he gets it there, So every one of you guys matter, man, and I'm grateful for every one of you that I get to work with. So I'm gonna do my best to kick ass on the marketing and the sales and the shipping and all that stuff. And I get to do some creative work too. I got to lay out all the pre-production packets, and I got to do all the packaging based off of Ed Morrill and Sean Morrill's good work on Rattello. I was able to execute that across the line for, we've already put together 30 packages now. So, I'm honored that I get to work with these people, and I'm having a freaking blast doing it. So thank you guys. And, the only promise, when you do good work, if it's well received, is that you get to keep doing more work, right? So I hope that these are well received and we get to keep doing more work, keep making awesome toys, because this is a dream. So thank you guys. Let's see, freight shipping is coming in supposedly January 1st to the port, supposedly January 6th to my house. But you have my word that I'll keep you guys updated, and we will be here shipping our butts off. Matthew LaCroix, come on up, man. and help me out early January. That'd be amazing. And I'm sure some of my other friends, David and Joe, have already helped out. My dad's been helping out a ton. So thank you guys for helping out. The reason that we're doing fulfillment from here for now is because I want every dollar that we can save to go into manufacturing. I'd rather spend money on cutting molds and making amazing paint apps than spend money on a fulfillment warehouse right now, right? That's going to eat a lot of my life up, and I'm okay with that because I'm free, right? So if I can save money on fulfillment and put that money into the molds and the paint apps, that's what I'm going to do for now. And if the line gets profitable, then, you know, maybe by wave 3, wave 4, we'll move everything up to the fulfillment warehouse. I had a really good experience with them with the Art of G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero omnibus hardcover. They ship 4,000 books in 4 days. They're amazing. I just don't want to blow budget on fulfillment if we can do it ourselves. So we're going to do it ourselves for right now. So thank you for bearing with us as we do that. And if you ever need anything from me, check the Kickstarter updates and send me an email. I put my email address in there so you guys know where to reach me, all right? Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. And yeah, couldn't do any of this without you guys. So thank you so much. Hope to talk to you soon. I will read these comments and I'll take them to heart and I'll reply to everyone that I can. All right, y'all take care. Peace.